Hello and welcome to another video from the fanpub.com. It's Alan Shawn back again.
It's great to be back and looking forward to another video that we're putting out. This one should be exciting because we are talking about half-point
PPR rankings for this year. So we're looking very early.
This is June the 14th as we put this video out, and we are looking to go through the list, pick out what we think is in drafters' favour, and talk about some of the players that could be trap players as well, things that stand out to us at this stage.
Yeah, and who we think might rise, come the start of the season, and who might fall, and
we can then look back on this a bit and see.
And the sort of choices you're going to get at each sort of position.
So obviously our viewers can see this, can't they? They can see what we see here.
So we're looking at the rankings. So we've got Lev Bell at number 1 and Gurley at number 2. I think that's quite surprising.
I think that's fair.
Who has Lev Bell at 7?
Well, I think
that's the consensus ranking.
Here's a question, right? So here's my only concern, right? So I understand every year in fantasy, a player to repeat at the top of the tree is quite difficult.
You've got to pick one like you always get.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I'm always so favourably lucky like that. I've always got this decision. But I actually a little bit hesitant to take Bell this year at 1 because I don't like the matchups all through the season. I think it's a tough schedule.
You've got Cleveland first game.
Now the first game,
first 2 against them, 2 against the Bengals.
Improving team, right? There's a lot. There's a lot here that's a bit more. It's not given, and I'm not saying Bell. We all know is elite, and to be honest with you, if you got this choice, you're laughing. But I can understand why they put him at 1. But I probably, if I've got the number 1 pick, I'd probably still taking Todd Gurley because I think the Rams' defense improving. I still like the way we're moving forward. I don't totally trust Goff yet. I think he's a bit more of a manager than people give him credit for. That suits Gurley a lot. So
let's face it, you'd be happy with either.
I'd be happy with either, and who's going to argue me there? But for their ADP, that's the price you're going to pay. Then those two are not really slipping outside the top 2, are they?
So half-point PPR. It's got Antonio Brown at 3. It's redraft.
Well, if it's redraft, okay, that kind of makes sense. He is Mr. Consistent, but I am a little bit hesitant to be taking him this high in any league format. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't take him at 3.
I'm not a huge fan now. I think I'd more steer towards, this is half-point PPR, I'm more steering towards David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott over Antonio Brown still at this stage. And I've got to be honest, I prefer DeAndre Hopkins over Brown, but that's just me. I understand if people take Brown first. Of course he's the proven consistent guy. But things can't last forever. There has to be a change somewhere. Maybe it isn't this year, but it's got to come.
Who would you have at 3? Zeke or David Johnson?
I like Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, I know it's half-point PPR, and I know that people are going to argue that David Johnson...
I think if it was 4-point PPR, I'd definitely be
David Johnson. But it isn't. It's half. So I personally would take Ezekiel Elliott. I like the line. The line doesn't lie. The line is so strong.
They just signed Zach Martin.
And he only had 10 games, and he achieved so much. So I for those reasons, I mean, you're happy with him or David Johnson?
Well, David Johnson has got a niggling knock. He missed most of last year.
That is a bit of a problem, isn't it? But hopefully it is a small.
He's on a team where the game scripts. although he does catch.
He can do it. We know he can do it all. He is capable of 1,000 rushing 1,000. I really believe he's capable of it, but it's just whether that team is good enough to deliver that, and whether they can keep him healthy and he stays healthy with a bit of luck. But yeah, either or. But I'm not Antonio Brown.
Okay, so we're talking right. So you're on the 5. Let's say Bell's gone, Gurley's gone, Johnson's gone, Zeke's gone.
Yeah.
So you've got a choice of Brown, Hopkins, Beckham, Kamara, Barkley. Who are you picking at 5?
There, and it's half-point PPR, and it's proven this format suits DeAndre Hopkins for me.
Okay,
I will take him.
Take him at 5.
Yeah, I would steer only because it's him, and only because he fights so damn hard for you. I definitely like him here, but it's close because
stupid amount of targets.
You could argue Kamara, and you could argue Saquon Barkley, which is a bit of a risk. It is unproven, and rookies do come with a little risk, but I don't think you'd be unhappy with any of those players right now. Right there, okay. I wouldn't mind any of them.
Okay, let's say all those top 9 have gone there, so we've lost Beckham, Kamara, Hopkins, Brown, and the
Barkley. Yeah,
Barkley. Yeah. So we're on at 10.
This is where it gets more interesting.
Yeah, this is where you're interested.
So as well. This is where it gets more interesting because he is so consistent, Julio Jones. At 10, that is a bit difficult to argue with. I mean, he's a 1,400-yard receiver,
but only 3
it's
touchdowns.
His touchdowns, but they're so hard to predict, and that's the problem.
Well, they're not. You get 3 of them.
Well, he can get 8. You know, I mean, he doesn't seem to score more than 8. He often gets 7 or 8.
What annoys me is every year, I mean, he seems an obvious red zone target. He's massive.
Yeah.
I suppose he's going to get a lot of attention, but...
Just doesn't seem to get him.
No.
And it is the worry. But if we look at what's around him, because that's the spot we're at 10, you've got Michael Thomas, yes, but it's another playbook. You know, it's another...
Kareem Hunt.
I'm worried about that pick, if I'm being honest, because of the things I've said previously in other videos.
I'm
worried about those picks.
You like Keenan Allen. Every time you've had him, he's gone down.
Yeah, that's why I don't take him. I don't like any of those picks. Worry me.
AJ Green.
And that's why I'm going to say I'm happy to take Julio Jones. So yeah, I would take him there.
You know who I'd take?
Go on.
Devontae Adams.
No, that's a good spot.
Or Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, that is a very good spot. Now I do actually.
Or even Dalvin Cook.
I do.
Or Fournette.
and actually, you do raise a perfect point. I mean, I'm not.
Why is Fournette at 18? That seems...
that's madness. But I will say this, right? So I will go this. I would say Devontae Adams. I'm going to leave Leonard Fournette slightly. Yeah, you're right. It's Devontae Adams, Leonard Fournette, then Julio Jones for me. Looking at that. And the reason that I think you're right is Devontae Adams is the number 1 in Green Bay. The number 1 always does really well. Is he going to get 10 touchdowns this year? I suspect that's highly likely. Will he end up with 11 to 1,200 yards? That's very likely. How many catches is that? 80 to 90?
I mean, he had a good year without Rodgers last year. I mean, imagine with Rodgers.
And
no
can't argue it. Good spot. Yeah, you're right. That makes sense to me. I'm willing to back you there. And
where would you place Dalvin Cook in?
He's pretty close. I mean, I just
why is Fournette 80? I still can't get over that.
No, it's crazy. I mean, they've got Dalvin Cook at 17 with an unproven track record, but it is half-point PPR. I do love Cook for this year, and I would be hard-pressed.
Who would you take out of Cook and AJ Green?
I'm going to take Cook because I'm looking at the upside, and I worry about
Cook and Keenan Allen.
Cook. I would
Fournette or Cook.
I'd take Fournette. It's too good value to not take. It's got to be in it.
Fournette. If he was at 18,
I mean, you'd have to take him. It's just ridiculous value. I don't even know how that's possible, but there you go. It is.
But you'll be at 18, and it'll be a choice between Keenan Allen's ACL or.
And I won't be taking any of them.
And they'll take, and you'll be left with Keenan Allen.
I'll leave it for other people. They can have that player.
You can have Doug Baldwin.
They'll have that player as well. This is what makes it exciting. This is the good part of the draft. It all gets interesting here.
Why is Doug Baldwin 20? I don't understand why he's so high.
No, I don't.
I think I'd rather LeSean McCoy for a year in redraft than...
In redraft, I take LeSean McCoy over a number of those players.
These are strange.
I mean, the really weird bit here is if you look at it logically, you've got Devontae Freeman at 21, and that's arguably better value than some of the players placed above him. Arguably. But there is a risk. Of course there is, because of injury. But it's arguably better. LeSean McCoy, arguably better. Arguably better, particularly in redraft.
I think if you draft in fear of injury, you've got to draft for the...
You've got to draft for the year ahead.
And you always want to hit the perfect year when everything goes well.
If you absolutely don't trust a player, then you don't draft him.
Freeman, before last year, had back-to-back years of 200 plus.
He looked fabulous.
And he didn't do badly last year if it wasn't for the injury. I mean, he played hurt towards the end.
We're an interesting spot of the draft here. It's starting to get edgy, isn't it? A lot of question marks.
So we're looking at 19, 20 and 21.
Yep.
So we've got Evans, Baldwin, Freeman, McCoy, Gronk, Adam Thielen.
I think I'm taking Freeman and McCoy at any point here. Any point here. And they may even take them slightly higher.
Ahead of Evans?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I would. He's not far off it, and I don't mind him. He'd probably be my second player chosen in most draft formats there.
Who would be bottom of that list?
Well, 21, 20 and
who would be bottom out of Gronk, Baldwin, Thielen?
I'd probably take the tight end Gronk at the bottom of that list. Not because I don't believe in redraft he has value.
Would you take Baldwin above Gronk?
No. I just don't.
Baldwin's bottom of your list.
I just don't like Baldwin. There's something wrong with him. I don't know what it is. I know he's a
good
player.
Wrong with him.
He's a good player. I just don't like
wrong
him.
With him.
I don't like him. He just doesn't do. He does it every time. This is another one of these. If I choose him this year, he'll go down injured. I can't trust him. I don't. I just no. Not for me. No.
He is for you.
No, not another one. I don't want him. Keenan Allen and Baldwin. That's. I'll leave that for Simon. He's our resident expert on wide receivers. Let him pick what he wants. He knows what he's doing.
Right. Okay. So half point PPR with Tyreek Hill, McCaffrey, Kelsey.
See that good value, isn't it? Tyreek Hill, that's very good value here. I mean,
what's your thoughts on McCaffrey?
I think it's good value at this stage of a half-point PPR league. It's very, very good value.
I read
indeed.
a report earlier that McCaffrey might get 200 carries. I mean, that is not going to happen.
No,
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
No, I think what we saw last year is what we're going to get again.
He's a catcher. He's not going to get 200 runs.
He's
between
a
the
very, very nice. I think the floor and ceiling is very close for this guy that we saw last year. I think that's what we were talking about, and I think we nailed this actually. When you look back at what we predicted for McCaffrey's year ahead, that's pretty much spot on.
Full point PPR. I don't mind McCaffrey at all.
It's fine.
Half point PPR.
It's a bit edgy.
And standard with no.
There are. I mean, I love Tyreek Hill here. That's great value. I like Adam Thielen's good value. They look great here. Jerick McKinnon looks great here. I mean, what's not to like with his situation in half-point PPR? That looks very good value here. So those ones, I have no problem with their ADP. And in fact, I'd be delighted if they were sitting there at this point. They'd be very good for me. I wouldn't mind that. The only one I really kind of swerve around. I like tight end, but in a half-point PPR league, tight ends really have an irrelevance, really, and I think you can do better weighting on them. So, as much as he's great, let's move on.
All right. I'll give you the next 5. You tell me which one you like the most and which one you like the least. T.Y. Hilton, Jordan Howard, Stephen Diggs, Aaron Rodgers, Larry Fitzgerald. So which one do you like the most and which one would you avoid?
They're all very interesting, but I'm going to put at the top of it. I'm going to put it's arguable either way, but I'm just going to avoid Aaron Rodgers at the moment. Not that he's the least on this list; he isn't, because you could take him. But I'm going to go Stephon Diggs number 1 at the bottom of the list. I'm going to put. Let's think it through. Yeah, Jordan Howard's going to go at the bottom of my list, I think, because I think Tarek Cohen will take all the receiver, pretty much every receiver. He just hasn't done enough as a receiver to warrant in a half-point PPR. I think Aaron Rodgers could easily be a close second with Larry Fitzgerald. Those two would be quite comfortably happy on my list here at this stage. I wouldn't mind any of them. And Larry Fitzgerald may be entering his final year, but he's as solid as they come. And in half-point PPR,
never lets
fabulous,
you down.
Fabulous
never
points.
lets you down.
Okay. Nothing not to like, really. There.
Okay,
what do you think of that list? Do you think that's fair?
I would probably,
I mean, thinking about it logically, I mean, you could argue Aaron Rodgers would be the top of the list.
T.Y. Hilton, no, it depends on luck. I mean, he will fall if luck.
He's in the middle of the list simply because of that. He's not at the bottom, he's not at the top, but it could easily swing the other way.
He's a player that could be value this year if luck's fit.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, he led the league in yards a year before.
I have no problem taking him, even if Luck didn't come back, because he proved that last year he's that good. And at this point of the draft, he's solid, but up there, I hope to land another player ahead of him. Hopefully.
Didn't T.Y. Hilton have 1,400 yards a year before when Luck was fit?
Yeah.
So, you're talking...
You're talking Julio Jones numbers, a much better ADP with more touchdowns, if all goes well.
So the upside's there. If Luck's not there, just don't draft him at all.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's look a bit further down.
Yep.
It gets a bit murkier, so it's a bit
it's
more
always interesting, yeah.
Amari Cooper, Alshon Jeffrey, Allen Robinson, Demarius Thomas, and Kenyon Drake. Best and worst, please.
Okay. Oh, God. Amari Cooper, Alshon Jeffrey, Allen Robinson, Demarius Thomas. Well, I'm putting Amari Cooper at the bottom of that list.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Amari Cooper below Allen Robinson?
Yeah. And then Allen Robinson just behind him.
Alshon Jeffrey?
You could put a paper between the pair of them. Then Alshon Jeffrey. Put a paper between the three of them. Demarius Thomas at the top of that list. Because I think...
So Kenyon Drake by default second?
Yeah.
Do you trust Adam Gase?
No, I don't. I don't trust it at all. But it is just you're shooting for... potential, and
I'd be different. I think I would put Amari Cooper top of that list.
Would you?
Just because he could take a step forward where Allen Robinson, I like him, but he's in a new team with a new quarterback. He's off an ACL.
It's the thing is that these kind of players provoke a lot of issues. I mean, you don't get me wrong. I
don't think I'll be drafting him any team.
I don't think Amari Cooper's going to enter any of my squads this year. I don't think Jeffrey will ever make any of them. I'd have to be drunk to pick Allen Robinson. Sorry, Allen Robinson, but I would.
Did pick him. Third.
I would never pick him. But that's the
good job. You're always drunk.
Yeah, it is.
Good year for Allen Robinson.
Good year for Allen Robinson. But Demarius Thomas would have every chance of making it. To be honest, with that group, I can't see me ever touching Amari Cooper. I'm just not buying the consistency. It just doesn't seem to be there.
Let's look at your next 5 then. Golden Tate, Josh Gordon, Alex Collins, Russell Wilson, Jarvis Landry.
In no particular order, not the top
No,
three.
it is a particular order.
Golden Tate,
that's the whole point.
Josh Gordon, bottom of the list. Sorry, don't.
Josh Gordon, really?
Yeah, don't trust him. Golden Tate, can't trust him.
Tell
Alex
me why you
Connors,
don't like Josh Gordon, because you said this before. But
well,
it's worth repeating. It's because he hasn't done anything.
He's done nothing for so long, and although he did lead the league 1 year, the guy has an unbelievable, horrendous, checkered history, which is I won't go into here.
Well, I don't think you need to, do you?
It's horrible. There is upside there. Yes, there's potential. There's a ceiling that's through the roof. Of course there is, but I can't trust him. Now, if we're talking a small team,
you putting him bottom then?
I'm putting him bottom of this. Now, think of it this way, right? Even in a small team, this is roughly.
You're putting him below Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, this is roughly my fourth pick in a small league. This is very arguably my fourth pick in any other size league except 14 and 16-man teams. So this is way too high for these guys. So,
well, you got to pick one of them. Well, this is how it works.
Yeah, I know, but I've already given you my steer as to where I'm going with this.
So Gordon's bottom.
Yeah.
So who's top?
Well,
you got the river dancing Alex Collins. You got Golden Tate.
I'll take Russell Wilson. He's top.
I'm going to take Russell Wilson out of it,
yeah.
and I'm going to put Jay Ajayi in. Russell Wilson's too easy. You're not having Russell.
I'm take Jarvis Landry because it's half-point PPR.
You are?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't like any of them, and probably none of them will find their way onto my team. Sorry. There's another big stick. I always recommend you have lit players you just won't touch, so you know where I'm going. That's a fact. It's just these guys.
What's wrong with Golden Tate?
Just not a fan. Just something about the guy. Just I cannot get round my bias.
Yeah, he's still above Josh.
Of course, other people rate him.
Okay,
I don't see it.
Okay, well let's go. This seems low for Brandon Cooks, 48.
It's too good. I pick him ahead of a number of those players.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a consistent 1,000-yard, 8 to 10 touchdown.
I'm going to leave him off the list.
Yeah,
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, he's banged up at the moment.
Jay Ajayi. I'm not giving you Darius guys because that's too easy. Mark Ingram because he's missing 4 games. Dion Lewis, and I'll give you Rashad Penny.
This is an interesting list. I'll probably take it in reverse order. So you said Rashad Penny was last on that list.
Yeah.
Who was the second one you gave us?
Dion Lewis. Then
Juju Smith-Schuster, was it?
Yeah, Mark Ingram.
Right. Definitely Mark Ingram. Jay and Mark Ingram off the list. You can put them at the bottom.
Which one's more off
Mark
the list?
Ingram at the bottom, Jay next, and that's very debatable. I might even put Ingram over him week 1 to 4, even though he's suspended over Ajayi because I don't trust him. So those are gone. Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm telling you, for me is a swerve player.
And he's got a knee injury.
Well, that's already been. You remember we had this conversation week 1 in our podcast. I've got a feeling, right? I'm moving away from him. I may be proved wrong, but I don't like this situation. I'm going to stick to where I'm heading with this, which is take Rashad Penny and Dion Lewis ahead, behind him, because I think Dion Lewis will get a lot of work. It's interesting
that Dion Lewis is moving above Derrick Henry now.
And remembering this is a half-point PPR, and I think Rashad Penny offers a lot of value here.
I know.
That's me. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on these next players as they start coming up.
I'm the one asking the questions.
You have all the control.
Yeah, some good ones. Look at this. Yeah, look at these fellas, right?
Yeah, this is good.
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I see you
Robert Woods.
Yeah.
Corey Davis.
God, dear.
Pierre Garçon. I'm going to give you.
Wow, this is good.
And I'll give you.
None of this list look good.
I'll give you Sony Michel as well in that nice New England crowd.
That entire list is absolutely not interested, except for I'd have to take.
That's not a game, is it?
I'd take Sony Michel.
Yeah.
Sony Michel, yeah, take him.
That full strong New England backfield.
Yeah,
take your number 1
in that group. Yeah.
Who's bottom?
It's splitting hairs. Don't like Evan Ingram for this year. I don't like Robert Woods. Evan Ingram benefited from everybody being injured, so actually his tight end numbers were inflated.
Yeah, but he is a receiver. So
yeah, but his numbers were inflated.
You want a tight end that's a receiver.
Yeah, but you don't want to pick him at 60-3, do you? I mean, that's madness.
Robert Woods.
I wouldn't pick him at 163. I just wouldn't bother. No, he's off the list. Corey Davis takes a step forward this year, but it is not that big a step forward. I mean, this is a big.
Pierre Garçon.
I never picked him once in my life. I don't see it ever changing.
He's
been around for years and he's never been on one team. No.
So, who's bottom of your list?
All of them.
can't all be bottom.
None of
That's how it
them.
works.
Evan Ingram, because I see no value at that range.
So Sony Michel's top. Who would
Yeah.
be second? Corey Davis.
Second, Corey Davis. Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
then Woods and Garçon.
Woods, then Garçon. Yeah.
Well,
And I mean, you could split it with Garçon and Woods, however you like them. Yeah.
I guess you'll be reaching a bit further.
You are
down.
reaching here. There's a lot. There's
there's
a lot
some
of
nice
risk.
players here. I mean, a bit further down.
That's surprising.
Tevin Coleman, he's quite
That's
nice.
I mean, that's fabulous
I'd
value.
probably take him above them. Royce Freeman.
I
could
would
be
take
good.
him above some of
Ronald
those.
Jones,
I would take
Sammy
him
Watkins,
above. I would take him above some
Delaney
of those.
Walker.
Take him above some of those. Particularly above some of those tight ends. Actually, strangely enough, I think it's interesting here in half point PPR. They've got Delaney Walker tight end 7. That is actually probably about right. Yeah, his ADP in a redraft league is much lower down.
Right, I'm going to give you 5 now. Duke Johnson, that
yeah.
crowded backfield in
It is, yeah.
Devontae Parker, Mr. Glass in
Yeah, don't really like him.
Geordie Nelson,
Yeah, he's got some upside for this season because he's
Julian Edelman.
Yeah,
He's got some upside. Oh, no, he's high.
he's hot upside. Yeah.
What is going on? He took some. They couldn't even work out what he'd taken.
Well,
How does that work? They got scientists working out what it was.
well, it's probably a concoction to recover from an injury, and it's probably something that's
Yeah,
slipped
but
under
how's
the
that
pin.
performance enhancing when you're off the field anyway? I mean, what? I mean, he's out for a year.
You're absolutely right. I mean, at what point is that performance enhancing? He's missed another 4 games, not because of the injury, because he performance.
He went and got some shopping.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if he had a great year the year before. You could argue it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no performance to base it on.
He got that shopping. He was carrying all them bags he's shopping with all that.
He was carrying the entire team, 53-man rosters bags to the training field. That's what.
So we got
away.
Johnson, we got Parker, we got Nelson, we got Edelman, and we got Marshawn Lynch.
To keep it easy, because these are starting to get really ugly, and a lot I don't like.
You haven't liked any of them.
No, that tells you a lot about
Do you
how
even
I
like
feel.
drafting?
I do love drafting. Yeah,
Not sure you do.
Geordie Nelson is the one I put at the top of the list.
Really?
Probably, yeah.
Why?
Safe.
How's it safe? He's in a new team.
It's safe.
He did his ACL the other year.
He's a good player.
He's slower than me. Well, that's
No, I
probably not
don't
true.
think that's true. I mean, come on.
He's nearly as old as you.
That may be actually that may be true. Yeah, that may be true. In fact, I'm older than him by a long
He's
stretch.
got the
I may be
alien
quicker than
substance.
him, that's the
Marshawn
worry.
Lynch is older than you
Yeah, well, maybe.
and fatter than me.
I don't know about that.
No, I don't either.
Don't know about this. This is all getting a bit down. No, in all seriousness, no, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these players, and that's a fact. And I just wouldn't. They wouldn't be on my list. And no matter what was there, I would be swerving past them.
Would you pick CJ Anderson above him?
This is a half-point PPR league, so no. No, I wouldn't.
What league would it be that you would take
It'd have
him?
to be redraft. I've gone 0 RB, and I'm looking for a goal line plunger. Then maybe
I think they need Peyton Manning back for me to draft him.
to have any hope. There's a lot of glass. I mean, I don't mean to bore people with that, but there is so much I would avoid.
Yeah,
and
but it's
look
about
deeper.
taking chances.
Of course it is, but none of those interest me, so
What's
they're
the-
not the chances I take.
Don't tell me who you're taking though. Geordie you're taking?
Yeah, I take Geordie Nelson over that group. I think it's just safe. He's as solid as they come. I don't like the list, and he's not a player that really excites me. But there you go. That's the list that I've been given.
No, that's the list.
So
As it
let's
is.
look a little bit. Let's change the format slightly, and let's look down the list and pick out players that you think are good for their ADP. And we're reaching that point of the draft now where it starts getting a bit edgy. What about the ADP's given him?
And we don't know where. I mean, you got to look at Des Bryant
Yeah,
because if he could be a wide receiver 1 on somebody's team.
yeah.
But we just don't know at this stage. But
I mean, I quite like.
Kerryon Johnson, I wouldn't mind down here.
I mean, you look at some of the values here. You've got your guy you like, Marcus Gooden at 97. That looks like good value.
I'd rather have him than Garçon.
See, that looks good value. Robbie
Anderson, I
Anderson
love
sitting
his
there at
value.
93.
Absolutely
That's
love his
fabulous
value.
value there. You've also got Tarek Cohen at 100. That looks in half point PPR. Looks really good value.
You're keen on him tonight.
Yeah, I'm a bit higher. I think Jamal Williams is a risk player, but looking at some of the players above, some of them are huge risks. At least it's a shot to a starting running back. I'm not saying much about it. I'm not that enamoured. I don't mind Nelson Aguilar sitting at 106.
Kerryon Johnson.
Very interesting at this range. Yeah, why not?
I mean, they talked about a 3 down back.
those sort of things very much interest me. You've got Kelvin Benjamin sitting there at 111. That's all right.
He'd still be sitting there.
He could be sitting there at
Why
120.
would you want Kelvin Benjamin?
I wouldn't. I like the other players
I
more.
wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Brought
but
him up.
I brought him up because some people are big fans of his.
I
We've
think-
talked on the podcast why we're not so
I love
enamored
Chubb,
of him.
but for the future, not. I mean, with Hyde and Duke Johnson,
It's
in
muddy,
there,
isn't it? I
why
mean,
would you-
let's be honest,
Not
right?
a backfield you want to touch.
Let's be honest. They paid Hyde a lot of money, I don't see it being anything but a committee. I do see the future being Chubbs, but I think
you got to wait for that.
You kind of have to wait, and the trouble is even at this range at 170, which is very fair ADP actually on this rookie. I think it's a very fair one. If it does shake out, you've got to probably hold on to him for the best part of half a season, and that's if it all went well, and that's a concern because you have to win games in fantasy quick. So, but mind you, the investment isn't high.
Some other players down here. I mean, Foreman could end up being something.
Yeah, he could.
Marquise Lee could be the number one wide receiver on his team,
which looks good.
Kenny Stills, I like. He always does all right, and he's still younger than you think. He's been around a while.
Yeah, I mean, again here, if you're looking at tight ends, you might not be at this point of the draft, but just for interest, I think George Kittler's good value at 128. I think that's quite fair value in small leagues. That's not bad.
And Njoku's been promised to start in Perth this year.
Yeah, that's not too bad either. But again, I'd probably wait on it because it's half point PPR.
It's a new quarterback, so he could be a safety net there.
Yeah. What else have we got that's moving down? I mean, you talked a little bit and another one about Devontae Booker. He's sitting there at 139. That's a quite cheap for nothing shot.
Well, they keep saying he's their starting running back. I mean, it will be Royce Freeman, surely.
I think so. I mean, look at the ADPs. What does that tell you about the experts and the drafters? I mean, we're all expecting it to be the other way around before the start of the season. I think that's fair.
I mean, he's someone polarised. I mean, they've got him as high as 91 and as low as 224.
We've got people in the fan pub who like this guy a lot, right? And rightly, I can understand the reason they've chosen him, but I think he's had time to prove whether he's good enough, and he hasn't done it. And that's why I have no problem. I'd swerve past him.
No,
but
so reading between the lines.
I could get it if if you've already got running backs on the board, you're looking at thinning the field down. It's a relatively big league, and you're just thinking about a player that could get the gig. That's okay.
But you're in that territory. I mean,
but that's what
you got. Gio Bernard. He's not going to be the starter. He might get some third.
You're not taking a defense in half-point PPR here. That's never happening.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
I get DJ Moore's really exciting. There's a nice player at 144. That's quite fun for first year because you're not risking anything. You've probably got 3 other or 4 other wide receivers way ahead of him, but it's a nice shot. I don't mind that.
Alan Hearns is interesting.
That is interesting.
Doug Martin is interesting.
Even Corey Clement's quite fun. That's fun.
He had some good weeks.
That's quite reasonable down here at these shots.
Alan Hearns could be the Dallas wide receiver 1. I mean,
arguably.
Not even arguably. Yeah. I mean, you've got Terrence Williams. He's not going to be number 1.
So I mean, at this range,
you've got rookies. They're not going to be one.
There's some nice players. Can we pull down a bit further down on the list and have a look?
Well, what do you think? I mean, Doug Martin. We talked about in other videos where Gruden's got him in, and he's the sort of guy who backs his own judgment.
Well.
Even to the hilt.
If he starts well, he'll probably finish well. That's what you've got to look for with Doug Martin.
And he's had 2 good years and about 2 or 3 bad years. So
yeah,
if you get him on a good year,
but
you're
not paying a high price at this stage of the draft.
And that's the whole point, isn't it?
And that's the point, yeah. And I don't mind that at all. I mean, even let's see some of the other ones that are interesting here. Well, that's the reason it's close together. Michael Gallup could be the starting Dallas wide receiver as well. We don't know how this rookie shakes out. We don't know how this is all going to fall.
He's not going to start.
I can't see it, but it's a very low down ADP. But in redraft or any kind of league like that, I just would swerve for year 1.
And Anthony Miller, we like.
I love him here. I mean, look at that value, 169. Yeah, that to me is the steal of the half point ADP half draft so far. If you're looking at them, that's about halfway through or just over halfway through. That is so cheap for what I believe in for this year. I mean, that is just a given. And I don't think he will be anywhere near that ADP come the season.
I've got a couple of other players, and I'm probably his biggest fan.
Yeah.
Or maybe his second behind Gordon. Matt Breida.
Yeah, you're right.
He will get work mixed in with McKinnon.
Yeah, you're right.
Because that's how Shanahan works.
It is.
You look at what he did with Freeman and Coleman.
And do you think, looking at that ADP where he's
and
sitting,
that's stupid.
180. I mean, look at 2 points above him here. 178. You got DeMarco Murray as well. That's just cheap as chips.
Exactly. If he gets the starting,
I would obviously, to be honest, I probably would agree with you. I'd probably take Breida over Murray. But if I was in that spot, Breida had gone. Murray's on the ball. I've practiced my ADP, and that's where he's falling. That's so cheap. And such good value at this stage of a draft.
Another man getting a lot of hype this off-season, Chris Godwin.
Yeah, and rightly so.
From the quarterback, from everyone that matters on that team.
Yeah,
they're saying he's ready to take a big step up. I mean, the Bucs were disappointing last year.
Yeah.
And they've still got Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans, but Godwin is somebody that they've been saying a lot of very positive things about, and that's what you're looking for down here.
I mean, there's some interesting. Again, we're at that point of the draft now. It's all risk. I mean, I heard some things about Darren Sproles coming back. Now, I know he's older, and I mean, he's 34 for God's sake, but you're at the point of the draft where even a half-fit Darren Sproles has great PPR value. I mean, it's really weird, isn't it?
Well, if you got to throw him in for a week or so.
I personally prefer Corey Clement, who's higher up the draft board myself, but I do get the fact that this guy could almost be free at the end of a draft, and it's not a bad punt, but I think there's probably better
a couple
players.
of other ones. Amir Abdullah, 204.
Cheap.
He's not going to play for the Lions, but he's a guy that... I mean, the Cardinals liked him more than David Johnson, if you remember.
Well, they did.
He's going to have...
If you all or nothing, they told you what happened on draft day. They were looking to line him up and take him.
And there's people that are still believing them.
Well, what about this?
He could get traded and
what
become
about this
a really...
as well, then? I mean, this is just me just looking at this board, looking at what has fallen in front of me, and I'm just thinking as I would do if I was drafting, right? And just a thought hit me here. I'm looking at these few in this range. At 200, you've got Terrell Williams sitting in a team that's lost a player. The tight end's gone. Surely he gets an uptick of catches. I mean, even if it's only 10%.
Yeah, but they got Mike Williams back.
They have, but he was, he's 32. He's banged up. I'm hoping he comes back healthy. I happen to have him in the league. I do like him. Yeah. The rookie guy. Yeah, but I think this is not a bad punt, is it? This isn't a bad punt there at 200. I mean,
it's
a free shot. If you're if you haven't got many wide receivers and you're looking at a player that could have a better ceiling than advertised,
I certainly wouldn't put him off anyone of that sort of level.
You're at that point. It's not like you expect him to give you wide receiver 1 or 2 numbers. He's your 4th or 5th wide receiver. Maybe you just see.
And Amendola,
always surprises. Always surprises.
And when he's fit, I mean, he could do the Jarvis Landry role. In the slot, a lot of catches. And at 202,
you can't go wrong, can you? I mean, is that you're one of your players you like there at 2? Look at that, 213 TJ Yeldon. I mean, that's really cheap.
If you're worried about
Fournette, if I'm right about Fournette with a dodgy ankle, I mean, I know we're talking technically redraft here, half point PPR redraft, but if you're any doubt and you don't own Fournette, or even if you do, I mean, this is one way to protect it. But I think it's a great. It's a good shot.
Geronimo Allison could well get
really good value there. Very, very cheap that.
Right, I think that'll do, really.
Yeah, I think that's a good list. I mean, we're well into the 200s there. That's a fair list to look at and some interesting players.
We've talked through a couple of we've talked all the way through the draft, really, the decisions you're going to have to make. We've given you our thoughts on them. Also, we've given you a few people in the lower rounds that could be bargains when you come into drafting.
And I hope what's happened as well is, just as a final thought, is I hope what people realise is you can see you have to be quite strong at what you believe in, because when you look at these boards, don't be frightened to take a player off your board for a year. There are players that come and go off my board every year depending on the situation, and there are players who will never enter that board. I think you have to be a bit like that. You have to really want certain players or not like certain players, and then try and tailor that to what you enjoy out of your drafts, because that's what makes it fun.
Exactly. Well, thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it, and
don't forget to ring the bell, because you'll know when our
for the notifications when we've got lots of things coming out. So please consider subscribing if you like what we do. Visit the fanpub.com. We've got a Discord channel as well, which is very active even in the off season.
A lot of dynasty drafts went down in the off season, which was a lot of fun. Dynasty drafts,
long dynasty drafts.
There's a lot of leagues will spring up in the next few weeks, which are very exciting. They're mostly money leagues, so for any taste, from very low value money leagues right the way up to the more higher stakes leagues. A lot of fun.
And a lot of good friends on there, lots of good humour.
And if you can get into one of our live drafts, this is where we meet in the UK, if that fits you. Obviously, it would be very difficult. Love to see an American come over. That would be brilliant, but I very much doubt at the moment. But these are the most exciting leagues to get involved in, and as they spring up, well worth or get your name down for a reserve spot, because they are fantastic.
Okay. Thanks very much for watching, and please consider subscribing as well. Thank you very much.
See ya.